From our own Jimmy Barnes to Bob Dylan and B.B. King, Byron Bay's Blues Fest always draws the big names and the crowds. But after 35 years, it's coming to an end, and it joins a long list of music festivals that are no more.
From humble beginnings, Blues Fest blew up into an internationally recognised, award-winning event. Over 35 years, attracting some of the biggest names in music.
How about B.B. King final tour? James Brown, Kendrick Lamar's first ever Australian performance. Oh, some bloke called Bob Dylan.
The performers loved it, as much as the fans.
I've just loved being a voice in the choir for what an amazing festival this is.
This is the best festival of all festivals. I was telling our driver that the other day, and I said, it's just the best.
Came straight from the airport, straight to the site. Next thing, I'm on stage. See, no better way to spend your Easter Sunday.
Blues Fest was the longest running and most successful in a rich history of Australian music. Urimba, north of Sydney, staged the first festival in January 1970, just 5 months after Woodstock. A muddy Sunbury in Victoria featured Deep Purple in 1972. Then the Narara Festival in the 1980s highlighted the best of Oz rock. Festivals really hit their straps in the 90s and noughties, with the Big Day Out, Home Bake and Grooving the Moo. This year, Splendour in the Grass announced Kylie Minogue's return as headline act, a massive coup. Just 2 weeks later, no more Splendour. It was cancelled.
I can't see where we're going to be in 5 years' time, and it scares me when I see so many events fold, when I see so many venues close, when I hear so many artists saying, I don't know where I'm going to play next week.
Blues Fest director Peter Noble says post-COVID, the costs of staging big, multi-day, multi-stage festivals have become too much.
What else have we got to do? Focus our leaders on getting us through this time, because we can't do it by ourselves.
Just this year, 10 music festivals around the country have folded, leaving everyone to ask, is 2024 the year the music died?
And that is a great question. The person to answer it is Dave Gleeson, frontman of Screaming Jets. Dave, nice to see you. Is this the moment live music died in this country?
Yeah, I was actually, it seemed like Blues Fest was kind of the bulletproof one, and 35 years to be able to put on such a high energy show and such a high quality show. They seemed like they had the formula. Yeah, so when any of these festivals go, it really is kind of a bit of a, you take stock and think, is the music industry kind of at a crossroads? Are we kind of moving into a different phase? Ticket prices get so high nowadays. It's kind of one of those things that makes you think, oh, the music industry isn't immune to these things that go on.
Because it's not just Blues Fest, is it? As we saw it with Splendour, a bunch of others, and even overseas. I think the UK cancelled or postponed 42 festivals this year.
Yeah, it's look. I think the outdoor festivals they're having a lot of trouble being underwritten by insurance companies and stuff like that. I think that maybe if governments could maybe underwrite the shows rather than having insurance companies that have these massive premiums, because the main part about music, especially here in Australia and coming from England as well, is the social aspect. People make friendship groups out of these, out of going to see concerts. They make lifelong connections with people. I don't think it can be ever underestimated, the importance of live music.
No, and I think too, like for a lot of people, it's almost like a rite of passage. But when you think about the gigs, right, and I don't think it's such a drama if you're a headline act, but what does it mean for new talent? I mean, where is their opportunity to be heard, to gain a following, to build their career?
giving young bands access to being in those environments. Like I said, backstage with, the guys from Mental as Anything were there last time I did Blues Fest, and I was like, hey, boys, I love you guys, So I can only imagine what it's like for young bands to be able to kind of access that type of interaction. I think that's something that, looking down the track, that festivals should kind of look into.
Well, I mean, that's if there are any festivals left, because I just think, had this happened back when you guys were starting out, I mean, who knows, perhaps the Screaming Jets wouldn't exist, maybe this belter would never have been written.
Get the tats out.
But I make a point, that had this happened back then, maybe you guys wouldn't be with us. We wouldn't have you guys.
Well, and that's the thing as well. Bands aspire to get up to the stage where they do get invited and onto these bills, and it's always good to have something for bands to strive to. I hope that there's some young promoters out there who see this as an opportunity, a gap in the market. Maybe you can't start out with having 100,000 people there the first weekend, but you can certainly, find a field somewhere, put up some tents, and start again.
Because we do know that people are willing to dig deep. I mean, they're happy to fork out for, say, a Taylor Swift concert. So it would be nice to see that local talent supported too.
It would. And here's another thing. Maybe a lot of the parents who would go to some of these festivals, such as the Blues Fest, etc., would have more money if they hadn't had to buy their kids Taylor Swift tickets.
I'm not giving Taylor Swift a hard time.
I love Tay.
I know
Don't
you
worry
do.
about that.
I know you do. I know you're a big fan. And also too, look, it's not just those on stage, right? There are so many jobs behind the scenes to get these festivals up. They're the roadies, admin. I mean, the money that it brings into the local area. A lot of people lose out when something like this shuts down.
They certainly do, and that's the thing, that these festivals, and Blues Fest in particular, it provides 12 months of work. I mean, COVID was the first really big hit to the production of the roadies, etc., and we lost a lot of roadies. Just went into other areas of work, so we lost a lot of people then to the industry, and sadly this has come at a time when I think the industry's really starting to pick up again, and bands are out on the road more.
There has to be a solution. What is your message to the government about it?
Injections into community events and community places for young artists to play, whether they be solo artists or DJs or bands or rappers. I think it's something the government really needs to take a look at, because it is such an important part of our social fabric.
Yeah, well, Dave, I mean, live music, it's good for the soul, it makes people happy. We've got to come up with something. Thanks, legend.
Thank you so much. It's great to have been on here.
We love him.